Dude, it's so funny. So when I was driving with John, big tall John, we were going to Pattaya and we were at a gas station rest stop, and I was just standing outside, and this little kid approaches me, and the dad comes up. He's like, "Hey, he wants to talk to you. Can he say hi to you?" And I'm like, "Okay." So like I squat down. I'm like, "Hi," and dad's like, say hi, and the kid's like, "Hi." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then can we take a photo? I'm like, "Sure." So I'm like squatting behind this random kid in the parking lot, and this Thai dad takes a photo. And like, this is Patsy. It's not like there's a million foreigners. And I don't know why at all, but I'm like, that's the weirdest thing. I have no idea why that kid would do it. And John's like, "Oh, is it cause fear of stairs?"
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I was like, what the fuck? No, like
it's that man from fear of stairs that I somehow know.
Yeah, whose face is not on anything and speaks in a language I cannot speak, and I'm like a little boy. No, of course not. Maybe. I don't know why he wanted to take a photo with me. It was weird. Ooh.
Welcome to Fear of Stairs, Desi Films Decoded, the podcast where four friends from different backgrounds unlock the world of Desi cinema. I'm Winnie, the Desi who's never been to India.
Hi, I'm Kili. I'm from India and I'm a film lover.
Nikki, semi-fan of pugilism.
What?
Pugilism.
Feudalism.
Pugilist, fighting.
Pugilism. Oh, I didn't know this word though.
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm the Western film buff. The only boxing films I've seen is all of the Rockies, and I just learned about pugilism too. What is this?
Pugilist. It's just another word for fighter.
You said it so casually. I've also never heard of that.
Is it from 1970s?
What language?
Is this a word you studied for the SATs or something? Like, this does not sound like an everyday word.
Pugilist.
Pugilist. Yeah.
Well, if you're wondering who's the smartest one in the group, I guess you guys have your answers.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick is a journalist. Nikki is a journalist, so words are his life and his
word snob over here. Okay, I mean you're right, Nikki. Yeah. I didn't doubt you. Someone who fights with his fist for sport, and it's not like. So is that where like a pug fighter comes from? Or did I just make that up?
I think so.
What's a pug fighter?
Okay, I mean, maybe I made that up. But like I thought there's such thing as a pug fighter.
Pugs, but
you know pugs
like pugs that fight.
Yeah.
The reason we're talking about fighting is because this week's episode is a Tamil language-based film called Sarpatta Parambarai. Did I get that right?
Yes, Sarpatta Parambarai.
Which is you can easily say that it's like an Indian version of Rocky, but to say that is a bit of an understatement because
it's a really good film on its own right. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
What did you learn, Adam?
No, I did like it. When we were watching it, I questioned Killy because I was like, this is a good movie. I don't know how much I can talk about this because it's just a good movie. Like, it's a very well done film. I have also recently watched like all the Rocky films in a row in like 24 hours. So I had a good reference point of like what American boxing movies like look like. Cause I just watched all of them. And yeah, it does like wear its influences on its sleeve in a good way. Like, Rocky has really good boxing, like fighting scenes. Cause it's not like real boxing. Like Rocky does not box like a real fighter. We could talk about that later, but this copy is like the Rocky style boxing. So the boxing scenes were all great. The cinematography is great. Costumes were great. I love the aesthetics and the time period. But Killy, I mean, yes, I turned to you because you brought up why we were watching it and good points.
Yeah. So so recently we were discussing about like we have been discussed about caste system in India a few times, right? So this film is one of the Dalit assertion films from India, and it's really well done. The director Ranjit, he comes from a Dalit background. So I think before that, for the people who are listening and don't know much about the caste system in India or who Dalits are, maybe like we should initiate them.
Yeah,
like,
please. Yeah.
What is this? So caste system, like by the book, it says like it's a hierarchy in the society that kind of divides people based on their job, but it's actually like based on their birth, like which family you were being born to. Like you cannot change your caste identity. So it kind of comes from Varna system, according to the Hindu scriptures.
Well, explain that too, please.
Yeah, the Varna systems. The term means like color. But anyway, so the Varna system says that there are like there are four hierarchy of people. Like at the top, there are Brahmins, like whose job is mostly education, and then all the intellectual works and worship, like being the priest class. And then next comes Kshatriyas, who are like the fighters, landlords, and all this kind of work. And then comes Vaishyas, who are like business people. Then comes Shudras, whose job is to basically serve the whole system, like manual labor. Okay, so the caste system kind of is spawned out of that, because like even though the according to scriptures or whatever, that these systems are based on what job you do, but you can understand, like when you have a hierarchy, you cannot, like a son of a Brahmin cannot ever be a Shudra. Like they won't let it happen. The system won't let it happen.
Can you go up? Is there any mobility?
Technically, it says that you can go up, but it's in ancient history. Like it never sustained. Like it is closed, and there have been scriptures after scriptures which says that Shudras cannot learn. So what the caste system does is it also gatekeeps knowledge from people. Like so Shudras being the laborers, they have craft knowledge, right? But they don't learn how to read and write, and so their knowledge is limited to their clan and whoever they're passing down it to. So it cannot spread. They are not getting knowledge of the other scientific progress that's happening or other knowledge-based progress that's happening. So they cannot enhance their knowledge skill set as well. So the caste system kept everything, like wealth, land, knowledge. So
and what happens like if there is intermarriage?
the intermarriage is not allowed.
But I mean, but people still have sex and have like
Yeah, so
babies out of the caste system. What happens with that?
So they kind of become like outcast, or they become outcast. Like you are not supposed to have. That's why the honor killing happens in India still, because like when someone marries someone below their caste level, so to keep the respect of their family, they kill their daughter and stuff like that. That happens. It's usually, I think,
and how is the baby identified? Like, what caste is the baby in?
They're outcast. So that's where I'm coming. Dalits are not in this four system. Dalits are people who are outcast. So historically, they also come from, like, many scholars say that they are Buddhist. They were Buddhists before as well. That's why I think when Ambedkar, we'll come to Ambedkar because he's also referenced in this film a lot. When he was like fighting against the atrocities against Dalit and like creating like he was the chairperson of the Indian Constitution drafting committee when the Constitution was being written after India got independence. So he also put a few things in the Constitution that would look after the rights of the Dalits and to empower them. So that's why I think when he started one Buddhist sect in India called Navayana Buddhism. It's mostly people call it Ambedkarites Buddhists. So that's what one of his argument was also, that like, yeah, these people were Buddhists, like we all were Buddhist at one point before the Brahminism took over gradually.
So, but you're saying that the caste system was tied to Hinduism.
Yeah, caste system is tied from Hinduism.
And that's why he introduced Buddhism.
Yeah.
So it was like a response and an alternative to Hinduism.
Buddhism was a response at the core of its existence also. So Buddhist says that they have been existing for as like forever, right? But like when we learned history, we learned that also Buddha, like Gautam's, like he started the religion, or he was the follower of the religion, whatever the thing be. But he's the most prominent person from the whole, all the Buddhas, right? Gautam is the most prominent person. So he also did that to fight against casteism, to fight against the division. So there have been a lot of religious movement in India that spawn out of religion, like spawn out of the traditionalist religion, whatever was happening. So all of them are kind of to fight against casteism. Sikhism is like that. Ravidas's religion is like that. So yeah, that's
Winnie, explain your background a bit, and because being in Thailand, you can finish eating the peanuts.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
What's your perspective?
Yeah, no, I think caste is very much associated with Hinduism. I think a lot of people wrongly associate it with India, but it's not, right? It's very much
it's
a
also
Hindu.
India.
No, because like, but
debate.
it's not associated with Sikhism, for instance, another religion that's like born in
That's
India,
up for
right?
debate. Like it's not, of course not.
And like Keely said, one of the reasons Sikhism was born that we're taught growing up, one is to kind of like bridge that divide that was going on between Hinduism and Islam. Another one was to do away with the caste system and the inequality, right? So some of the things that underlie Sikhism, for instance, is this concept of like langar. When you go to the Sikh temple, you get free food, right? But then you all sit on the floor and eat next to each other. And this whole thing was just kind of like, it doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're poor. When you're in God's house, when you're in the temple, we're all equal. They're all going to sit next to each other on the floor. And I think a lot of that is also to do away with some of this caste unequal practices that prevailed during India at that time.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit more about Sikhism? Because I'm sure a lot of people, me included, like don't know everything about it. Like,
Sikhism? Yeah, sure.
Episode.
I mean, or like in your background in it or growing up in it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was a religion born in the 1500s. Our founder is Guru Nanak. It's a religion, but you can also see it as a philosophy, right? Like Guru Nanak went and studied different religions, and he kind of came up with it. And a lot of it's just associated with meditation. You just meditate to get yourself closer to Simran, to God. Like just do Simran, right? That's like the concept of Sikhism. That we don't have idol worshipping. Or if you read it, you'll see that there's elements of Islam in it. There's elements of Hinduism in it. And we have 10 gurus in total. We don't like identify God. We just say there's one God. And there's these gurus who came to like pass on these teachings.
Yeah.
So, and they did away with some of the discriminatory practices that was happening in India at that time, like sati, for instance, where if a man dies, like her husband dies, the woman will have to throw herself into the fire along with the husband, right? Because you don't exist as a widow, so you just go and kill yourself with your husband. So like Sikhism did away, like they were very much like, no, we don't do sati.
Yeah, it's like sati system was very prevalent in the upper castes actually, like not the Savarnas we call. The Savarnas are mostly like the first three castes that I said, Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Shudra, Vaishyas, they are like called Savarna. And so Dalits are basically untouchable. So since they don't belong in the caste Varna hierarchy, they don't belong in this four like categories. They're outside of caste system. They took out the Dalit identity. Dalit literally means like stomped on. So they took up that identity as a assertive identity, the name Dalit, and so we see a lot. Like, I mean, the director being from the from the community. I mean, his works speaks a lot.
Wait,
about
the director's a Dalit?
Dalit, yeah. So before we go there, Kelly, why don't you give us some perspective of like what Dalits usually do, like what professions they're usually allowed to hold, because this is quite achievement as well.
So they mostly are doing the menial jobs like cleaning, sewage cleaning, all this kind of cleaning jobs. They does like skinning cows and
like funeral services.
Funeral services. No, that belongs to not Dalit. There, I mean, some places, but not everywhere. And I mean, they are landless laborers sometimes, like landless farmers in the small village side. They do this kind of work.
Are they allowed to go to school?
Jobs. So I mean, now
Yeah.
of course there's a positive discrimination against for them, the reservation
Like
system
India's
to
affirmative action, if you want to
yeah
call
yeah,
it
yeah.
as such.
That's what like Ambedkar's work. Yeah, that kind of supports him to bring them into mainstream and like increase the social representation of Dalits. It stays for Dalits and tribals as well. But anyway, so their job is mostly menial jobs, and yeah, and back in time, you couldn't even step on their shadow, like one Savarna, like from the top.
They couldn't step on the Dalit couldn't step
No, no,
on
no.
their shadow. Oh no, you didn't want to step on their shadow.
Shadow, and if you do, it's their fault to come in your way, so they will be punished.
I think everyone's thinking it, but can, like, in this caste system, are you able, for example, to convert to Sikh and then get out of that caste system?
Yeah, that's the way to get rid of the caste. So until you're Hindu, like you cannot get rid of your caste. So that's why I say, like, when people say we are casteless, it's a privilege of the upper castes. Because I mean, caste is not technically official, right? You cannot ask someone their caste because it's illegal now, but people will know, and it's a divisive system that stayed for like 2,000 years, 1,000 years. So it's deep. It has a deep wound in the society. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when the problem with Hindu religion is like it gives caste system a religious stamp on it. Like, it's okay to divide people. So other religions says that everyone is equal in front of God, even though like in practice in the society there would be division. There in like economic division, social division, like they'll always be there. Like Sikhs have their like division among they have hierarchy. Muslims in India have hierarchies, like
So,
people
but
who track their lineage to like Middle East, they think they are above people who are natives to the land and converted to Islam later.
if you like convert to Sikh, are you just absolved from it?
Yeah, you're absolved from the
So
caste.
why doesn't everyone do it?
So that's the thing Ambedkar started about, like like the Buddhism, that you become Buddhist so that like you have an international support system with you.
Yeah.
And then also you are absolved of caste, but still, when you absolve we are kind of also already absolved our caste officially, quote unquote, right? But our identity still carries. Like, people would know where we come from by knowing where our lineage is from, where our ancestors are from, what kind of job they would do. So these are the questions people get asked. So in Tamil Nadu, where the film is from, there was Dravidian identity movement, and then after that, like, they kind of stopped using their surname. Their surname is like their father's name, right? So to get rid of the caste identity from your name, because the caste is mostly recognized by the surname, right? So they did that, but still people will ask, oh, which village you are from? And then if they're from the city, oh, which area you are from? Because that's how it's get kept, right? The location where you can rent house, the location you do, like it's like otherization of people. It's like keeping people out.
It's kind of like on a policy legal level, there's not much discrimination left because the government has been proactively putting affirmative action policies and such, but it's almost like people's mindsets, and that
it's
keeps it going.
Structure.
Right.
In India, when it got independent, caste is illegal. Like, you cannot ask anyone caste. Like, if in an office setup, like a official setup, you ask them, it's like an offense. Like,
yeah, but just to point out how serious of an issue this is, and I told you guys this before, but California had a law up, an anti-discriminatory caste law for Indians specifically.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I did.
Because they were like hiring people in America, in California.
Yes.
They're having hiring preferences based off caste, even though that's like already illegal in America, but they were still doing it. So there was a bill specifically against that discrimination, and the bill failed because the companies really still want to discriminate against that.
Yes.
And so they vetoed it. They didn't sign it. And Like, so this issue is still prevalent even in America. It carries over. And it
Yeah.
has really deep roots.
One of the Ambedkar's main point was to educate the Dalits, and then he's like, get out, go somewhere, like that would be also like help your keens and your society that you come from, the background you come from, or you can get out, like education is the only way. So when with the positive affirmation actions, when they Dalits started, their numbers started increasing in the education system, in up higher education. They also started going out abroad, right? But it took time. But that the people, Indians abroad, are highly dominated in numbers by upper caste, like Savarnas, right? So when the Dalits were going there, they faced discrimination by them, by the upper castes in abroad. So that's why the bill was being fought for. Yeah. And it also brings the caste system injustice to the to a international audience level if it's happening in USA. So yeah, that was a
Now,
big fight that they were putting up.
Winnie, when you went to America, did you experience any of this within the Indian community at all, or within the Sikh community, or anything?
No,
Nothing?
no. I mean, again, like, yeah, I interacted with the Indian American community, but a lot of them are just very wealthy, upper class people. But again, I'm not Hindu, so like caste was
Yeah.
irrelevant
Yeah.
to me growing up, and also growing up in Thailand. Like, it was never something I thought about or even understood fully.
Yeah.
But of course, I had Indian friends who were like Sindhi maybe, but of Hindu religion, and they would talk about it here and there. Like for them, it was a factor when they were thinking about who to
Yes.
get married. Of course, it has to be within the caste. So I saw it from like that perspective, but in my own life, it's been quite irrelevant. But
Yeah.
fortunately,
Yeah, so where I learned at school, it's like most of my classmates who are close friends of mine, most of them are Sikh.
right?
And to this day, I mean, like until now, right? I never thought about the caste system because they don't talk about that sort of thing. That's just never
Yeah.
a thing. And
But Nikki, like in Thailand too, like, can you talk a bit? And it's not necessarily specifically a caste system, but just talk about the kind of hierarchy in Thailand a bit.
well, I mean, we all know that with labor workers, skin color, like Thai people with tan skin color is kind of seen like, you come from the working class.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of like beauty treatments and
Skin whitening creams.
skin whitening cream advertisements, because being white for Thai people and maybe Asians to an extent is seen as privilege, like we're in high soul, that's what we call it, like high society. So there's always that people tend to judge that sort of, it's a classist thing, yes. Yeah, more or less.
The skin color thing's interesting because Europe and America had that too, where whiter skin was better, of course, and then it flipped to become tan skin, just because it went from like agrarian to an urban work environment. So like before, if you had dark skin, it meant you were like a laborer, and so which meant you're working outside and had the sun. So being inside meant you didn't work. But then when people moved to like factories and the offices, being pale meant that like you were working, which meant being inside, and being outside meant you had like the leisure time to just sit around and get the sun. So I do predict Asia will change eventually as urbanization takes over, and more people get white, because it happened in America. It used to be like people had the skin whitening stuff too, but then became tan. They liked being tan. When everyone is in the office and factories long enough, it'll switch at some point.
I find it really hard to
Maybe
It will
not
happen.
not in my lifetime.
Yeah. I don't think we'll live to see. And even in India, right? This is quite prominent. Like Fair and Lovely is like the most bought facial wash brand. It's literally
At one
called Fair
point,
and
like
Lovely.
there was one advertisement was literally where the girl changes to a blonde girl or something like that, and
in India.
yeah, and then like when she comes to the like immigration or something, they don't recognize her from her passport and things, like she's foreigner. Like there was some ad like that.
So is there a
Like,
relationship
they,
also?
like mistakes. They mistake her for a like a white foreigner. So she gets so white using the skin whitening cream.
Is there a relationship between Dalits and skin color? Are they most of them also darker skin tone?
Yeah, they're most of them
Right.
darker skin, but not necessarily all of them. So that's why, like, I've heard from my friends, like, who comes from, like, the official term is like scheduled caste,
yeah.
right? So who comes from scheduled caste has a fair skin, and then they get asked, like, oh, you're a scheduled caste? Like, you don't look like one. I mean, that kind of remarks you get if you like for that we were discussing in this film, right? Like, they also casted someone is like who is like visually bit
White.
fairer,
Yeah.
and then bigger body. I mean, so that's the thing. Like, it kind of sticks out, but also, like, if you think of it, there are people like that and who get questioned because of the same reason. Like, you don't look that.
Is it rooted in colorism though, this whole caste system? Because again, upper caste tend to be fairer Brahmins,
It
you know.
kind of came from not only colorism. It kind of came from racism. Yeah.
Wait, what's the difference? Oh, like the ethnicity versus.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, America.
yeah.
That's like one and the same. Sorry, it's hard.
No, it's that's what we say. Like, if the American discrimination goes for 2,000 of years, like, there would be mixing and.
Yeah, right. I mean, like you see that in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that. It's just that things going on. Like, because there are people are coming from different region to India and then based on job and yeah, so and Indian villages were very confined and self-sufficient,
So
isolated.
So what caste are you?
So I'm from Bengal, right? So I'm technically from a business community, but we don't fall under the Vaishyas. We are Shudras, like the fourth one.
Did it affect your life at all?
No, because in Bengal, like even there's some states like Kerala, Bengal, and the states, like, they have their Shudras are like they have only two castes basically, like two varnas, like Brahmins and Shudras mostly, and then Dalits. So I mean, like, and they made a hierarchy amongst themselves. So I have studied history where I read that people from our caste was not allowed in earlier schools for a bit. But when I grew up, it kind of became so the caste would not be mentioned or talked about on your face. It won't be asked around. So I kind of almost grew up without knowing the whole caste dynamics and everything, but there was a tendency of looking down upon scheduled caste because they are taking our seats because they have a positive reservation.
Job competition.
Yeah, because they don't study as hard as us and score lesser marks and then get into the
same
university.
shit every
States,
fucking country.
So this was a reality, and if you go on Facebook, or it's this, the people still talk about it, even quote unquote leftists. So yeah, so they don't understand this. That this is a social representation thing going on. I mean, the reservation system in itself can have a change or like some consideration, but that's upon discussion. That doesn't mean like, you can just hate on the whole system, like the whole positive affirmation like that. Anyway, so
this movie, how does it talk about the caste system, and what does the director's background have to do with it?
Yeah, so this film is just assertive nature of the main character, and by association his community's assertion against them being looked down upon. So it's just it's in the subtext of the film, like the where they their houses, like how they're being like when the villains, the bad guys are talking down to them, humiliating them. What are they talking to them? Like at one point he says like, "Oh, I will forgive you when if you come to my house, clean up my toilet, and when my cow dies, move the carcass. Then I will think if you could do a good job, I'll think of forgiving you." And that was a casteist slur. And then it's like he keeps on saying like people like them shouldn't talk against us. People like them cannot take over the Sarpatta clan. Like this, and you see the most of the so when the coach Rangan is like teaching boxing to the slum kids, people are like, "Oh, you're like," I mean, he's doing it like he's giving the power back to them, but the upper class caste community doesn't like it as much. So yeah, that's how it kind of says, and people keep on saying that, oh, you have to represent us to the hero all the time, and even at the final fight they give a blue robe, saying that, this is for our community. Like, so blue is the color of Dalit assertion.
Like the Bloods and versus Crips.
Hmm?
Like Bloods versus Crips.
Blood versus.
Crips.
These are the two big gangs
Like
in the
red versus
States.
blue.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, well, okay, so what's the other color?
What an analogy.
That was
What's the other
hugely-
What's the other color
What's the other color?
of the other gang?
Right,
the
like
other gang.
like what's the opposition? Maybe the Brahmin
opposi-
caste.
No, it's a Dalit assertion. Color is blue. It's a political color. Like, so that's it. Like,
It's not
No other
true.
colors are involved?
So what's the color of
like
the
this
most
range
upper
is for
caste?
Marxists, like the left wing, like
Yeah, so red and
orange
blue.
is for
Okay,
orange
okay.
is for
Are you gonna
Hindutva,
ask her to have like a
Which
cribble?
one? Which one means you like golden showers?
What?
I think brown.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Nikki,
So
why
what's-
don't you?
What's the plot of the movie?
Yeah, kick us
fuck,
off.
You talked for so long.
No,
It's
I,
okay.
no,
It's
I think
alright.
there's- it's
No,
relevant
no, it's
enough.
good. It's
Yeah.
relevant.
No, it's relevant enough, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a historical drama, sports drama, set in the 1970s in North Chennai, which at the time it's
Oh.
called Madras.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madras. And it's about, so in this region there's like a really rabid boxing scene. Like everyone loves to watch boxing, and in this boxing ring it's like a battle between clans of people, like where they come from. It's separated by villages, right? I'm getting this right?
Yeah, something like that. I
Villages.
mean, I didn't really understand from the film that how the clans got divided, because they say
It's
like they
like a
started as one
village.
clan and then they kind of divided.
So
divided.
is different clans in the same cast?
No, but
there's
one clan has different castes.
different
That was
castes.
the fight. Like,
Yeah.
different, like the upper caste were
Okay.
trying to snatch.
I'll get there in a bit. So
okay.
basically, there's the clan that the protagonist is a part of. It's called the Sarpatta clan, which used to be like renowned as the undefeatable clan, but in recent years they've been going through a slump where all their celebrated boxers are losing to this rival clan called the Iriyapa clan, which is they're basically the antagonists of the movie. I wouldn't say
I would say that.
but like, you say the
That's
bad
the
guy,
one
the
that-
bad guy clan.
No, even like, yeah, that was one of my point in this film. Like, the bad guy opposition is not actually the villains of the film. They're just opposition. Like, they behave asshole, but they not that asshole. Like the villain for me was Thaniga and his family.
So the Sarpatta clan is headed by this coach called Coach Rangan. He is like a very well-respected individual in the community. He's what the protagonist, whose name is
Kabilan.
Kabilan is he's our protagonist. Basically, he's this labor worker who has been watching Rangan's clan fight since childhood, and also because Kabilan's father was also a boxer.
Yeah, Ranka, the coach is like Yoda.
He's like Yoda.
And he's like famous at this point for training all the other boxers. He's very good at it. And this guy's like a young Luke.
He's like a young Luke, but there's also another conflict in this movie where Kabilan is forbidden by his mom to join in these bouts, whether it's watching or training as a boxer, because his father fought alongside Rangan as one of the greatest boxers in the region. But then due to some conflict with
Thaniga's brother,
which is, again, they're from the same clan, but they're in an upper caste, as from what I understood. And that family wanted Kabilan's father to, be his henchman, and that didn't go through. And Thaniga's family basically had him killed, and that's where Kabilan's mother is worried about not wanting him to join boxing. The Iriyapa clan has this really famous celebrated boxer called
Vimbuli.
Vimbuli.
Yeah.
He's like this it's like mustache twirling villain.
Yeah,
I
he
would
looks.
say.
Yeah, he literally
He's
has a
like
mustache.
twirling villain.
They have some great facial hair in this movie, by the
Yes.
way. Incredible mustaches and big beards and like 1970s
Sideburns, yeah.
like sideburns. It rolls.
Long curly hair. It was
Yeah.
very 70s, right?
This one guy did look like a Wolverine.
So yeah, Vembuli challenges Rangan. Like, you know, Vembuli is defeating boxer after boxer from this Sarpatta clan, and then, you know, like what Keely mentioned is like he was just ultimately taunting Coach Rangan, like, oh, who's the next boxer? You know, give me your next boxer, and once we wipe the next one, you know, you should never box again. So the conflict is that Coach Rangan has to figure out, you know, which boxer he should bring forth. And it's like an underdog story, right? Kabilan is being a fan, and then the movie shows us his journey as like, you know, the underdog. Like he just comes out of nowhere, he's a fan, and you know, he trains hard. But later on, we also get to see his downfall, you know, when he gets too cocky. There is also political subtext going on. So I think I want Keely to explain that. It's in the 1970s, and Coach Rangan is part of this ruling party at the time, called the DMK.
Yeah, they're ruling party of Tamil Nadu. Yeah, like the state. But the center is under Indira Gandhi's Congress, and Indira Gandhi announces a emergency period, and she was like making political parties illegal left and right, and then DMK becomes illegal at some point, and the party workers go to jail, like prominent party workers, leaders, everyone. So that's how like Coach Rangan also goes to jail at some point.
He goes to jail at some point. But then, you know, what I find fascinating about it is that these battles, these boxing bouts between clans, it's like more than just a fighting match. It's a sense of pride and nationalism, like between their clans. It's like whoever is the winning clan takes superiority over the other clan.
Yeah, just like honor system, kind of.
But is this real? Like, are they into boxing in India in some towns like this?
I see. I don't know about no. So this is a very very local history from Chennai, like North Chennai. So this is not everywhere. But like when I studied about like the background of the film, they kind of say like, yeah, this was a very like a well-known thing in boxing in North Chennai, but like, in the international level.
And just to interject with the Rocky again, because I just watched it so recently. Basically, the plot is literally like Rocky 1 through 5 in one movie, right? Because like it is a long epic, you know, 3.5 hour long movie, and so you see the rise and fall and all the struggle. That literally is like, I'm not kidding, like Rocky 1 through 5, like the ups and downs and getting a lot of money and then losing it all and being a drunk and then getting like being all fat and then like losing all that fat again and doing like one last fight. It's just the entire Rocky series in one, with a much better looking and more charming looking guy. And
he's really handsome.
Yeah, and the fight scenes were better.
Is very handsome. I love him. Sylvester Stallone is very handsome.
Not as handsome.
What about that stash?
Yeah.
No mustache, no curly hair.
He had curly hair in Rambo.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's a different character.
Well, now you know
But it's the
Killy's
same
Man
guy.
Crush Monday.
But yeah, it's an underdog story. We love underdog stories, and I think the cast stuff makes it more. Again, that's no service level, because like I did not understand that at all.
Yeah.
The cast stuff. If you understand it, I'm sure it makes the movie a lot better too, because you know there's very few ways that you can fight against your status like that, except through symbolic victories. So that adds an extra layer to it. I think like boxing lends itself to like class struggle movies, because even the first Rocky, he is like an Italian working class man, and the guy he fights is Apollo Creed, who is like a famous black boxer, but who is partly famous because he's black, and he wants to set up the fight in Rocky 1 as Apollo Creed versus the Italian Stallion. So it's like a class battle right there too. Like, so that class stuff has always been embedded in the Rocky series, and I think any good boxing movie, because all the focus is on one person, and we get the cool montages, and they get to like physically punch their adversaries in a ring. So it's just well suited for that type of story.
What do you guys think about the mother's reaction towards him boxing, right? Because there's one scene where he goes to watch a boxing match, I think, and then he comes back and she just like starts screaming at him. The whole village comes out to watch and she's like beating him up. And there's good reason for it, but also just to like mention, I feel like 3 out of 5. I feel like 3 out of 5 Indian films we've watched includes a scene where the parents is just beating the shit out of the children.
Is this accurate?
So
though?
that goes
Is
to
it
show
accurate?
say something about Indian culture.
What does your mom do when she catches you smoking? What happens?
I mean, nothing to me. I don't know, Kili, if you've ever been beaten up, but yeah, it's just
kid, but not when I was
It seems
older.
to me from what I gathered, it's very normalized. It's like,
Right.
oh, that woman is hitting her kid again.
And
Just another
Kabilan's like a
day.
big
Yes.
guy, right? And like
Yeah.
grown ass man, and his mom's just like
He
hitting
still
him in front
lives
of the
under
whole
her
village.
mom's shadow.
Yeah.
Like he was living under his mom's shadow. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. Like, I don't think his mother's character was written like a likable person. I think like she's written like a pathetic person, just like putting all her burden and baggage on her son.
Sure, and also
Yeah.
just constantly threatening suicide.
yeah. Another
Not
cliche.
Not the first movie we saw with that either.
No, that's another Indian mom cliche.
Have you seen
yeah.
that before,
I've
though?
heard a lot about it. Yeah, and growing
you-
up, like my mom would make stupid statements
Really?
like, "Oh, well, you don't want to eat my food, okay? You'll know when I."
That is so dramatic.
It
That
was
is such a
such-
dramatic
you know,
thing to
growing up,
say.
we just like learned to
Yeah.
let it fly over our
For
heads.
me, it was not suicide. It was like I leave this house and leave you and go.
yeah,
away.
you'll realize you'll miss me when I'm gone, kind of.
We were talking to one of our friends. Her mom died recently. She's older. Her she passed away when she was like 90. She was in her sleep, but she was staying with our friend's sister. And she kept telling her mom, like, you better not die in this house because then you're going to haunt me forever. She's Thai. So she's like, if you die in this house, you're going to haunt this house and I'm going to be so mad. And so the daughter the whole time was like, don't die in this house. Do not die. And the mom ended up like falling asleep and dying in that house. And so now she's just all like mad and worried that her mom's going to haunt her the rest of her life.
No,
and
that is
stuff.
very Thai.
Yeah.
That's a very Thai thing.
Sounds like a film.
Well, I was thinking it'd be a good sitcom like Ghost Mom if like you have like a ghost mom like constantly nagging you the whole time and like
Or
no
like
one
just
else can
cooking
see
for
it.
you. Like you just come home, there's food ready.
But you
even though
can't
there's
eat it
no-
because it's ghost food, so it's like haunting you. She's like, "Here's some awesome food, you can't touch it." And like any guy you bring over, she's like, "Really?" And like just keeps like judging you and stuff. But no one can see Ghost Mom, is because she. And so like, is she just like nagging you in your ear the whole time? Yeah, I thought that would be a sitcom. Yeah.
But yeah, this mom character, she's like so against it. There's another aspect to it where she tries to get Kabilan to marry so that in an effort to stop him from boxing.
Yeah.
And let's talk about his wife though.
His wife,
Incredible, beautiful.
character development just went from like she went through a whole journey where from kind and supportive to becoming a reflection of his mother.
Yeah.
Because he was behaving like his
because
father.
he was turning into his father
Yeah.
into a life of gangster and crime.
She those roles are really hard, like being like the wife to the alcoholic or the successful guy, because you're always just come off as like nagging, or there's not much story and you just have to kind of antagonize them a bit. But she does it so well. Like she has a lot of pathos. I think her acting was like incredible. Like she doesn't just come off as like fighting him for no reason. It comes from like her character. Like her character is a stubborn person that's like a good emotional match for him and knows how to like talk to him and bully him. And so like she comes off as very strong and not just adversarial for the sake of the story. Like it comes from her character, and she pulled it off really well. Yeah,
I like the scene like where Coach Rangan calls Kabilan to his house before the match night, and then she's like, "No, you cannot leave now." And then he's like, "But I have to go. Coach has calling me." She's like, "Yeah, no, first like serve me food, feed me, and then go." Like I like she kept that hand on her, like her hand on him. That like, okay, no, I mean, you have to respect me. Like you cannot just walk over me just because you're a good boxer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a respect thing. Like, look, like I'm trying to support you as best as I can. You need to support me.
Yeah.
Like we're in this together, and it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And like when they fight, it's sad, and when they're together, like they make a good couple when they're happy.
It's like in between moments of like tension, they will have moments of like tenderness.
and you
Yes.
see why they're together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some movies you don't get it. You're like, what? They just fight every scene they're in, and it just wears on you. But this, you actually see the relationship develop.
Yeah, it's quite complex. Yeah.
Good actor, the woman. Yeah.
Yeah. So later on in the movie, Kabilan is at his lowest point. Like, he was just seeing the error of his ways. He's become a gangster due to. This is where the caste system comes into play, right? Because Coach Rangan has a son.
Yeah.
What was his? Vetri, and then he was like, so his son is always trying to, earn his dad's approval. He thought that he would be the next star boxer, and then Kabilan just came out of nowhere, stole his spotlight, and then you can kind of see why Coach Rangan didn't want his son to be the next boxer, because there's like this tough love, like, I don't want you to go down.
Yeah, and
into,
also like he was not a good boxer. He was just very aggressive. He didn't have enough technical skills. That's why he chooses Raman, that guy, to fight Vembuli over his son. Even even before Kabilan came up, like he never chose his son because he knew like he's not technically good.
So yeah, Coach Rangan goes to prison, for being a DMK member, and then like Vetri, trying to find a way to earn respect, he becomes this liquid peddler and liquor peddler, liquor peddler, and like a thug basically.
Like he's making moonshine, right?
Yeah,
that's what they're making.
Yeah.
And then he tricks Kabilan into working alongside him, but basically Kabilan was just basically a henchman, which is like, this is where the caste system is working, right, in a way.
No, it's just kind of in a way, but with their relation, I didn't see much caste system in play. But I mean, it's the whole setup that like people who coming from slums, like those family, when they become boxer, if they're not boxing, what would they do? They would be a henchman kind of setup. Yeah.
So that was.
Sorry, what do you do if you're like when you're a boxer? Like I dated a ballerina very briefly, and like they train their whole life at like 11 up until 18, and then she's in one show as like the snowflake and Nutcracker, and then that's it. Like her career is kind of over, and that's just very normal for everyone. Like, and then you have to be a teacher or something. She can't be a thug because she's like too frail as a ballerina. So like, what do like boxers do like at the end of their career? Like, you have to be a thug, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have enough money. But it was like not end of his career. And also like coach was saying that I will give him job if he wants to come to a decent path. Like I will make sure that he has a job. But like he already went down that path because we should talk about like why he went down that path. Like the whole fight with Vembuli and then
yeah. All right. So it's just a lot of characters to keep track of. So, apart from the clan trying to regain their honor and glory, the Sarpatta clan themselves, they're going through infighting.
Yes.
There was infighting because they're trying to decide who the next boxer was. And Coach Rangan, initially he picked a man named Raman. Raman is basically like the nephew of this mobster called Taniga. Yeah. And he's like, Taniga used to have like a brother where they were like he was also a celebrated boxer, and Taniga is proud of that Raman's get chosen. But then Raman is not the boxer, as we can see from like the training that he was doing. Coach Rangan knows that they're like, he goes against Coach Rangan's teachings, and that's where Kabilan comes in. While that was happening, we also have Vetri, who's Coach Rangan's son, as we've talked about, where he just wanted to be the next boxer, but he can't live up to what he wants to do to earn his father's approval. There's a lot of conflict going on. And so when Kabilan gets chosen to be the star boxer, he, after a fight with Raman, like a quick bout with Raman to show that, to make sure that, to give confidence for Coach Rangan to say, hey, Kabilan is the next boxer. They made a deal to fight dancing Rose.
Rose is amazing. He's like everyone's favorite character in the film, I guess. Like,
who is he?
Rose was the dancing boxer.
Oh yeah, that guy's great.
Yeah. I mean, he's actually based off like one boxer called Nasim Hamid, who is to like do that kind of showmanship during boxing, like dancing.
He looks like in Ready to Rumble boxing for the Dreamcast. You know that he look with the guy with the mustache.
Oh, Big Willie Johnson.
He doesn't he dance exactly
know,
like
I
him.
know
I'm trying to think of a WWE character who has similar moves to Rose, but I couldn't think of any. Like it's a very unique
Well,
style of
One
fighting.
wresler,
We know one,
Yeah,
like
we know
like
one
in
local
real
one.
life. Yeah.
Benji.
Benji is a real life version of that.
Yeah, Sura
Yeah.
or something. I don't remember.
But yeah, he's like Big Willie Johnson or whatever, and he has like the best mustache ever. He looks like some 1920s dandy, and he's dancing around. He's like Eddie breakdancing.
Yeah, like Eddie and Tekken, kind of like
Yeah.
that kind of dancey moves.
Yeah.
Chicken
He's
reference.
a dancer boxer. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
yeah, it was a very good scene. Like the whole choreography was just incredible, right? And it was just that was the defining moment that, it's, like any other underdog story. Kabilan trumps over Rose. Kabilan gets cocky. Now Vembuli is threatened by this new rookie. And we're led to this match where Kabilan was winning Vembuli, like he was about to win against Vembuli, but then, as we've talked about, Raman's uncle Taniga, who's a mobster, he sabotaged that match. He called his henchmen. They throw chairs at Kabilan right before he's about to deliver the finishing blow, and then a riot breaks out. The police comes in and arrests Coach Rangan. There's a lot happening in that scene. There's a
Yes.
lot of chaos. And it ends with the people, like, it's like a scene of shame, right?
Yes.
They stripped Kabilan naked on the ring as a sign of humiliation. And that's when we start. Where
They blurred in the movie.
they blurred it in like a Japanese porno.
Yeah. It was kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, it took me
As
out
opposed
of
to what? Like showing it?
yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Like,
Or just
It's in
frame it.
there.
Frame it so I don't see it. It'd be funny if they had warnings like they do when they smoke cigarettes, but every time you flash the dick, it's like a warning, like not before marriage.
I don't think nudity to that degree is present in any Indian movie. Is there,
I think
Keely?
also it's a certification issue. Also, the actors willing to be.
Just remember when when Amir Khan got naked, we couldn't even see. They didn't even show a scene where
Yeah.
you see his buttocks.
Yeah.
It's just like the camera is always just.
But if I was this actor, I would have demanded like a huge pixelated area just for people's imagination. That would be my contract.
But yeah, that was
the pixels bigger.
It takes up like half the screen.
yeah, Big
Yeah.
Willie. And yeah, anyways, so that was like the start of the downfall for Kabilan.
Yeah.
And then, Vetri being the resentful son.
This is the second time someone's been stripped naked in embarrassment form. I just realized. Remember Jawan?
Oh yeah, Jawan.
They like
That's
when they
right.
embarrassed that dude, they stripped the dude naked too.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing in India,
I
right?
guess.
Street naked, yeah, it's
It's the most embarrassing
Very
thing ever.
shameful.
Public
thing.
indecency.
Yeah.
Conservative culture, so
Yeah.
Right, be ashamed of your body, the thing you're born with.
Yeah.
dignity.
Yeah. Well, it's like your dignity
Yeah,
goes
exactly.
out when like it's-
Dignity goes up.
Yeah, when you're naked.
Dignity.
So yeah, like Kabilan goes on a path for revenge with Vetri, and in an unbelievable move, like Kabilan just uses a machete to cut Taniga's face
Yeah.
in half,
Shit.
and it was just
Yeah.
like
Wait, and wasn't this over the? And again, this is a repeat of another
Rabbit
movie.
meat.
This was over rabbit meat. So then, remember another movie you
Angamali.
saw? Yeah, Gamali Diaries.
yeah.
They had the huge pivotal fight scene over a rabbit dish, and here we are again.
That's actually very interesting because
Yeah.
this is a second South Indian film that we're watching. Keely, is this normal for South Indian films? Like, is there an obsession
it's
about
a skill
rabbit?
films, maybe.
Or is it just a
But
coincidence?
and also
But
like, these
two
are the
films
films
that we like. How that's very
Yeah,
random that it's
yeah.
like always a
and
huge
two
issue.
different states. Like that was like Kerala Malayali
Kerala.
film, and this is
Ah,
Tamil
okay.
Nadu,
Okay.
This is Madras.
Tamil film,
Yeah.
Chennai. But it's like two different
But
states.
still,
but
why
they're
do
still
rabbit
fighting over
dishes make people violent like that?
But there is similar
Really?
themes, even in addition to the rabbit
No,
meat.
it's like rabbit meat is spatial. It's a spatial meat. It's not easy to get. It's not
Clearly.
that common, but it's very tasty and it's kind of like a delicacy for them. So yeah, so he.
I mean,
did
entire generations fight over these dishes, and like it causes huge rifts in the community. These rabbit dishes.
But yeah, Kabilan cuts Taniga's face.
That was amazing.
Because of the rabbit dish.
Because of the rabbit dish. And then like that is his descent into, you know, being a washed out boxer. I think that
Well, because he becomes wanted, right?
becomes
Is that the
wanted.
He
deal?
goes into jail.
he goes
So he comes out of the jail because like he gets bailed and then like try to set up a truce with Taniga that like okay, but that's when the Taniga does that caste slur thing that we're like you guys are talking against me like few years back like you have to beg food to eat. Now you're like showing us this attitude and stuff, and then he's like okay, I'll forgive you like if you come clean my toilet and like move my cow's dead body and stuff
you
like
see
that.
that was the thing.
That's
that
the thing.
For non-Indian watchers, like you might have just thought that it was like a taunt
Yeah.
or something, but there's a lot of context behind that where he's like above them.
Yeah,
And then
that's
he's
what
just
it's like. That's why it also
trying
worked him
to make a
up
deal,
that
yeah.
much. Like he starts beating again. Like that's like the instigation. That's the N word kind of like if you call like a hard like N word to a black person.
Yeah.
Like and then they'll get worked up. So it's kind of that like you doing a casteist
But yeah,
slur.
you
Is
can-
the wife pregnant at the time, or did she have the baby? I forget the part of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. His wife is pregnant at this time when he came back from the jail.
So no baby yet.
No baby yet, but yeah.
But you get this like really insane montage of Kabilan's downfall, which
Yeah, that's
it was like
beautifully
this was the part where it made me go, shit, this movie is really something else, because in just like a I think it was just like I don't know, it felt like 15 minutes, in just 15 minutes or so it was like you see this man, like in the beginning you thought you were rooting for him, but now he's this drunk asshole, like washed up, like disappointing his family,
Hits his mom, hits his wife,
yeah,
comes home drunk all the time, falls asleep in the alleys. He's fat.
yeah.
The biggest crime of all, losing his six-pack.
Which-
His incredibly earned six-pack.
I want to know if like did he really like gain weight and then
No, he didn't. He stuffed a pillow in his shirt. You never see his fat skin. He always has a
But he's
tank
just
top
not
over it.
that ripped. I mean, he was not that
You're not that
ripped.
ripped, Kelly. Shut the fuck.
he was ripped, man. Like his
He was
arm,
so
his
ripped.
No.
forearms.
In that scene, that he was not that level of ripped. Like where what? I mean, I studied. I read in behind the scene like anecdotes, like page 3 kind of story.
Sure. What?
Where he's like he did a bit of change. Like he shot. I mean, they shot. I guess this scene.
He was slightly less
He was
ripped.
like not that ripped,
Okay.
and then
But he still wasn't
became
fat.
ripped.
He had
No,
a
no,
white
was not-
shirt.
yeah,
He had a white
he had
t-shirt over it.
He had a pillow stuffed. for
Yeah,
the-
and the pillow kept popping out, and he
Yeah.
kept and like you didn't see it, but it kept like dropping out of frame. So like the pillow would just fall, and then like you'd see like his shirt kind of,
yeah.
and like so they kept having to like deal with that pillow special effect, and that was kind of noticeable. I wish they did better at that.
Yeah.
But like I think that whole downfall, like it went. I actually thought that it was like a lesson in like, you know, being punished for your misdeeds, like
Or your sins of your father.
yeah, you become your father. I thought it was gonna be a tragic story, but then suddenly, like I don't know, I found it a little too like it went up from it was a quick 180-degree turn when Kabilan realizes the error of his ways, and then like he was telling to his mom like, oh, now I see.
So
what's
what made
wrong.
him realize the error of his ways? Was there like a significant event,
it
or
was-
was
He's
it
literally
just
asking because she hasn't seen it, so tell
Well,
her.
I'm also gonna pretend to be the audience, but yeah.
Yeah. So
Tell
there's a-
me.
Hey, asking for a friend. What happened in this movie?
So when
All right. I blew the cover. Yeah,
it, was
guys.
good. It was a good cover. I would
was-
ask the same question, but I had to
I
call
made
you
it
out.
halfway through the film. It was a
so
good
one night
film.
he's like coming back being drunk, and there is a like a
He was
assassination
there
attack
was-
on
So
him.
Taniga can call in henchmen with machetes at any given time. And one point when Kabilan was at his lowest point, he was just stumbling home drunk, getting like just passed out on this bench. His wife is angry, carrying their baby, looking for him. And she found him there lying on his ass, and then like tries to revive him. But then when that was happening, like Taniga calls like there was men with machetes and they were about to assassinate him, and you know the village, like some bystanders came to save them.
Also, the
And
woman was fighting for him for a bit at the first.
yeah.
Like she took up some stick or something and then like trying to.
But I found it fascinating. Like they weren't after her, you know. Like they could have killed her at any moment, but they were just after him, which I thought it was like
very respectful.
Very respectful.
The nicest henchman ever.
Nice henchman ever.
They're like, no qualm.
She's too strong in character.
And then like you get like this scene where they ward off the assassination attempt, but then Kabilan's wife just breaks down and said like, you know, you shouldn't even be alive anymore. She's like, she was just cursing that why are we saving this guy? You know, he's caused so much pain for his family, and the baby's like crying nonstop. And I think that's when they took Kabilan home, and then that's the moment where he realizes that you know he's just putting everyone in danger.
He has a flashback.
It was a flashback. I felt like it was for the audience, where it was just to show how his father was killed.
It's like a dream.
But just to show him like, oh, I'm doing what my dad did to me, to my family. Oh, holy crap! I became everything I was afraid of becoming. I need to turn my life around, and it is that easy, folks. If you just change your mind one night when you're drunk, you could fix everything, and everyone will take you back.
So I was gonna get to the point where like he really like cried his heart out, right? We get like a quick moment where he realizes the error of his ways, and then he tries to go back. Coach Rangan didn't want to accept him because he's out of shape.
I mean, when is this fight coming up? Like within a couple months, right?
Within a couple.
It's
of months.
ridiculous.
The fight is not coming up. He's just getting back into the boxing community. Like he's going to watch match where Wembuli, like the whole Iriappa clan mocks Rangan, and then he shouts back like, "Hey, I defeated you."
Yeah.
To Wembuli.
The audience knows.
And then they go in a fight, like a verbal fight, that oh no, you didn't like defeat me. It was an undecided match. And then that's when like they challenge each other for another fight.
But you see, I think the whole movie takes place over the course of many months. Like you don't know that, but like it just, you can just tell like these things, like all these sequence of events take place over like a couple of years. Like I don't think it was like within
years,
within like back to back, you know.
No,
but like it's just something that you can just tell from the political going on in the movie.
So in the end, he breaks the family, the generational curse, and then he has a final match with this guy. How does the final match go?
I was just gonna get into
How does it go, Winnie? How's it go?
Obviously, he wins, I assume.
I'm asking as the audience, what happens?
I'm gonna get there in a bit, but like first I need to talk about this specific point. Like he tries to train back, right? But then he was so out of shape. And then he comes back to his family. His mom wouldn't talk to him. And this is the scene that I want to talk about that threw me off. It's like for the entire duration of the movie, his mom was against
him boxing.
The Kabilan boxing. But then Kabilan was crying his heart out, and he said like, oh, he has this moment, like cathartic moment, like I realize now that I'm failing in life or whatever. And then like his mom does like a 180-degree turn where she's like, all right, you know what? You need boxing. We need to train you. And I just felt like,
well, so is it because she saw what he would be like without boxing, which is much worse? So it was just kind of like, just go back to boxing.
It was like boxing.
I'm glad you picked up on that in the movie, Winnie.
Also that's how, like, it's also a telltale of Indian parents. Like they realize they were wrong, but they wouldn't accept it. They will just do a 180 right there.
But also,
and then like, no, you should do that. Because it doesn't matter like what I was saying for the last whole whole life.
So the moral of the story is like just disappoint them so that they come around eventually.
It's like when you are like protecting your sibling and like only I can make fun of my sibling. You know what I mean? Like how dare you? Right? Someone's insulting him and the mom's like, no, fuck you. Only I can curse my son. Son, go beat him up. Like, you know, he ruined your name.
Who are they to stop you from boxing?
Yeah.
And then he goes to this
the training
old
thing,
man.
which I want to bring up. This is what I want to talk about. Because in Rocky 4, when he's in Russia in the snow, there's a training montage. And one of the things he has to do is catch chickens. Wait, was that Rocky?
No, that's Rocky
Was that
2.
2?
2.
Sorry, thank you. They're all blurred to me. He has to catch chickens in Rocky 2 with Mickey, his Jewish coach with an Irish name. And anyways, he has to catch chickens. We're like, that's weird. But in this movie, they're on the beach and he has to catch crabs.
Yes.
And that's this animal for this training montage. And so he's trying to catch crabs. And at the end of the montage, he's like, Mr. Crabman is great.
Yeah. I love the montage scene because like boxing montage, like fighting film montage has been done to death. But I mean, they still kept it intriguing.
I just find it funny that they brought up there's a hidden Yoda by the beach.
By the sea,
By
yeah.
the
So
sea.
many boxers there in the
where did
area.
he come from? I don't know. Okay, I'm just.
No, he was an
Rocky
old coach. He was an old coach who is
But
like
it
a
was just
fisherman
random
now.
because like I thought it was established that Coach Rangan was like the coach, but then no, his
Boss
coach.
level coach.
I mean, to
You
be
know what I'm
honest,
saying?
but it kind of showed that he's not as good as Coach Rangan, by the way, because he keeps on losing the bout at the end until Coach Rangan comes and like tells him like give him a support. Also, maybe a moral support thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He goes into Goku mode on the beach.
On the beach.
And Rocky 2 had a beach training montage as well. So
Wow.
Yeah,
beach and boxing.
so we need to answer your question, right? He won the match against Vembuli and didn't thank Coach Rangan. He thanked this beachside coach. I'm kidding, that never happened.
So
Yeah.
confused.
beachside coach.
But so also like Taniga asks Vembuli to like do that same thing again, where like he gives a signal about when he be about to go down, and then he will beat him up. And this time, Rose, the man, like Rose keeps Vembuli on check. He's like, you are a disappointment to the clan. Rose says that as a fighter, as a sportsman, you are not a sportsman. You are doing this bullshit. And I like Rose's character because when Vembuli did that in the first fight, when Taniga broke up the fight and like created the scene, Rose gets like really offended, and like when they did that, Rose becomes estranged with Vembuli because he doesn't respect Vembuli anymore.
So that's fascinating because so what really happens is that Vembuli tried to signal to Taniga, right, in the first fight.
Yeah, he did that. He did that. I blink.
But like, it's just that Rose doesn't like that kind of dirty tactics.
Yeah.
And which is what I like about this whole movie is that there's like this whole like boxing between clans. It's like a sense of honor, sense of pride. We follow the warrior's code kind of deal, which is like.
And also at the end, like when they have a terrific fight, like they were like on the verge of knocking each other out, and then somehow, like, of course not somehow because he's the hero, Kabilan wins, and then like Rose comes up on the stage and he really hugs Vembuli and says like, oh, I'm proud of you. The sportsmanship you showed today is like amazing. You didn't lose.
But this is what I like about Indian movies in general. It's like once the conflict is over, the movie just ends.
Yeah.
There is no like 2 months later they're celebrating. It's just like you defeat the villain, that's it. It ends.
So
Takes
in
a
the
cue
end
from
of
Rocky ends in the first one where just boom,
Boom.
he ends. They're like, you did it, you didn't win, but you like lasted, and boom, boom, credits. Karate Kid 2 as well.
I think because
Sorry,
they
where'd he
defeated
go?
the main villain before that. That Taniga sent his henchmen again after him, and then maybe like Vetri redeems himself a little bit by fighting them.
Yeah, actually, I have a question. So right when after he was done with the beachside training, after that beach montage, Kabilan was going on his way to the match to fight the Vembuli, but then suddenly he gets ambushed again by Taniga, and then Vetri has this moment of redemption where he comes, saves his life, and then he was like carrying a knife in hand, and he was like, "You go on ahead, go on to the match." And then we never really know what happened in that fight, and then like. When we get to the scene where he's fighting Vembuli, there's a moment where during mid-match, Vetri just comes in.
So that means like
So did they kill Taniga or something?
Yeah, they killed Taniga, I guess. Like he got done with them. Like he's like, okay, I will redeem myself. I'll beat their ass. Yeah.
So in the end, do these two clans kind of merge back together and become one, or they remain two separate clans?
They become separate clans. So
But they're on good
film
terms
never
now.
says that this clan rivalry is a toxic thing. The main villain, that's what I'm saying. Like even though they were shown as that Idiapa clan as like a cocky toxic clan who had cheated, who does more instigation, like bad mouth, foul mouthing, and all these things. But still, they are two separate clans just fighting in the ring. The main villain is Taniga to take up put them down, put Kabilan down, and then end his career, disrupt his match, not let them shine.
Yeah,
Taniga is the villain.
Taniga was humiliated by Kabilan's victory that he got on a spaceship and died on the way to his home planet.
No, I thought he was.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
I figured. Peek. So what is the moral of the story then? The moral of this movie? Your takeaways? Is there one? Like good sportsmanship?
If you drink and ruin your life, don't worry. Your family is waiting for you to get better. And as soon as you do, they'll be right there to resume their position and keep on supporting you. So go ahead, burn all those bridges, and they'll just be waiting for you.
I'm not surprised that this is the moral of the story for Adam, who comes from a Western individualist culture. For most of us, it's in Asian culture. Yeah, you can fuck up a lot, but your family will usually try to take you back. And I know that does not exist in America.
You're right.
So,
No, you're right. That's so funny. That concept is so foreign to me that I don't. Yeah, I think that is weird, but you're right. I think that is a given. Mm-hmm. Shoot. Unconditional love, not something I'm familiar with.
Not only until you're 18 and you get kicked out and you're on your own.
Yeah, which is what happened. Okay, yeah. What is the moral then, Chili?
No. If the man repent, is man to be forgiven. The daddy says that. The Jesus said that. Daddy, the character.
Mm-hmm. We didn't even mention Daddy.
Daddy is awesome, man. Daddy is oh my god.
I'm sorry, you said Daddy then Jesus. Is this a Daddy Jesus character?
A Christian guy
Daddy
who lives in the slum.
Anglo-Indian, that's what they say.
Okay.
That's why he speaks a lot of English in the movie.
Yeah, he's the Christian guy who lives in the Dalit slum.
So repent and you shall be forgiven. That sounds like Christianity.
Yeah, he says even Jesus says he at one point I think he says about Kabilan when he's repenting or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh no, not Kabilan. Sorry, Vetri. When Vetri, at one point Vetri also orchestrated an attack on Kabilan before the Rose match. Yeah, so Coach Rangan is hitting him with his shoes or something like trying and then Vetri is crying profusely, and then when Daddy comes and says man, you should forgive a man who is repenting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think it is about you have the possibility to change if you focus on it. Nikki, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just felt like it was family. It's all about family.
Yep.
It's like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, they'll be there.
Family. No, that's not. That's not how it goes.
Were you doing Vin Diesel just now?
No, I wanted to, but I couldn't.
All right, Keely, I think it's time to put on the gloves and do the joke you wanted to do for the audio format we have.
Yeah, Keely walked in with some boxing gloves.
I brought boxing gloves for this podcast, so I'm putting them on my hand
You're
right
gonna
now.
do ASMR or what?
Yep. No, I'm so that people can enjoy hearing me putting a
Seeing
how.
I know this is very enjoyable for everyone involved.
Wow, there's
all right, Keely's putting on his gloves. We hope there's a demonstration after this. You're putting it on for a reason,
They're
right?
filled with glass shards.
Or to let people hear the Velcro.
When they were training, how many people were just encircling them, looking at them, just training with the spotlight on them.
Is that what you want, Keely?
Yeah.
There's just blood coming out of the gloves.
All right, guys, quiet for the ASMR. Go, Keely, go.
No, done. Fight over.
No idea.
Wait, was that the joke?
I thought you were gonna make some noises.
I did. I punched it up. What other noise
That
I
sounded
can
like
make?
clapping cheeks or something.
All right, bye.
That was an anticlimactic ending.